Before you start any maintenance on this machine, make sure you follow the lockout tag out procedures for your facility. Make sure the area is clear of all personnel and the machine is safe. Use your company's standard lockout tag out procedures. Turn the knife switch off. And lock it out so it can't be turned on. Make sure you follow your standard lockout tag out procedures. For the air, turn it to the off position. You have the ability to turn the air off just to the back section for service. If you forget to turn it back on, we do have an added sensor that will give you an error message on the screen. When servicing the machine, you come in through the gate, which has an e-stop on it, but you always want to make sure that the e-stop is depressed on the machine itself. On the back section, you have an automatic oiler or greaser. This will need to be serviced from time to time. It's a replaceable unit. To replace it, loosen up the clamp, disconnect the electrical, and unscrew the grease fitting itself. Replace the canister and reverse the process. With the machine e-stopped and locked out properly, you can move the head to gain access to the grease points and for servicing. On the back section, you have multiple locations. Any bearing or movable access will have a grease point. Refer to your 990 Apex service manual for all the greasing locations. Two of the more critical grease points in the back section are the ball screw for the Y-axis in this location and this location. This is on the bottom of the back section. On the back section, you also have grease points on the right side on the ball rail. You have grease points on the ball catch on each side. You have Zerk fittings on the 3-degree pivot on the A and B side. On the back section Y-axis, you have grease points here and here. On the back section with adjust, there are 4 bearings that need to be greased. On the back section, you have 4 bearings that need to be serviced and greased. On the A side, you'll have to move the back section to the all the way open position to get the back bearing. And you'll have to move it to the all the way closed position to get the front bearing, which you cannot see right now. You can check through the sight glass for the hydraulic fluid level. If you need to add it, you can do it through the fill. On the back section drive belt, you'll grease that bearing. Continuing on the back section, you have grease points at every pulley on the A side and B side. Refer to your 990 Apex service manual for all the greasing locations. On the front section, you have the drive bearing and the pulleys on the A side and the B side. On the 3-degree front section swing, you have bearings on the A and B side that have Zerk fittings. On each head on the front section, there are bearings on the bottom and top ball rail on each side of the head. To grease the Zerk fittings on the inside of the head, you have to remove the bolts on the cover on the right and left side. On the chisels, you have Zerk fittings on the right and left side. With the chisel extended forward, move the pre-drill forward so you can gain access to the router's rear Zerk fitting. Extend the left side chisel forward to gain access to the Zerk fitting for the counter rotate router. Right underneath the pre-drill, you can feel the zerk fitting underneath the plate for the pre-drill, the router, and the counter router. For the main plate, for the Z-axis, you have a zerk fitting on the bottom underneath the rail on this right side and left side. You also have access to the zerk fittings for the bottom of each side of the rail. You have auto greasers located on the right hand side of each head that are the same as on the back section for service. Disconnect the electrical, the bottom of the greaser, and the clamp to replace. On the movable jam clamps, you have a zerk fitting on each side on the ball rail. You have zerk fittings on each side of the 6-shooter. You'll need a needle attachment to get to them. You have a regular zerk fitting on each side of the swing. On the right side, the 8-shooter is exactly the same as the 6-shooter with the same grease points. On your user interface main control panel, hit load A or B side. It'll raise it into the up position. To load screws, lift open the flap, dump in 1 box, you're good to go. We recommend that once a day, use some dry silicone spray. Just 1 little shot helps lubricate the screws. Use this on both the 6 and the 8-shooter hoppers to adjust the white belt on the jam clamp. Loosen these 4 bolts and adjust the nut to tension the belt. Tighten the bolts back up, you're good to go.